Welcome to Co-Pilot Podcasts. Did you know that right now, as we speak, your child's brain is being physically shaped by their environment? Today, we're diving into how a child's surroundings affect their behavior and why it matters more than you might think.
That's absolutely right. And what's fascinating is that this shaping begins even before birth. The environment literally molds how children develop, from their brain structure to their emotional responses.
Wait, before birth? How does that work?
Well, according to Harvard's Center on the Developing Child, the developmental environment includes everything from air quality to the relationships around the baby. It's like, imagine you're building a house. The quality of your materials and construction environment will determine how strong that house becomes.
That's a great analogy. So what are some of these key environmental factors we should be paying attention to?
Research shows there are three major categories: family environment, quality of education, and peer relationships. But here's what's really interesting. It's not just about having these things present. It's about their quality and consistency.
Let's break those down one by one. What makes a good family environment?
Well, recent studies show that a positive home environment includes things like regular study routines, encouragement and praise, and a quiet, clutter-free space. But here's something surprising. Household chaos can actually affect both children's brain development and their mother's depression levels.
Wait, what? That's pretty intense. How does chaos in the home create that kind of impact?
According to research, 6 specific factors in chaotic homes negatively impact children's developing self-regulation. Things like dampness, secondhand smoke, TV noise exposure, and general household disorder.
You mentioned TV noise. That's interesting because I've heard a lot about screen time, but not specifically about TV noise.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Studies show that children in homes with high levels of TV noise experience greater instances of depression, anxiety, and aggression. It's not just about what they're watching, it's about the constant background noise affecting their nervous system.
That reminds me of something completely different. You know how Darth Vader merchandise consistently outsells Luke Skywalker by 4-1?
Interesting connection, but how does that relate to environmental influences?
Well, it shows how early exposure to certain characters or behaviors can shape preferences and responses. But let's get back to the home environment. What about parenting styles?
Recent research shows that supportive parental responses that focus on the child's problems or emotions actually encourage better emotional regulation. On the flip side, punitive responses are linked to higher risks of social and behavioral issues.
So it's not just about what parents do, but how they do it.
Exactly. And this is backed by longitudinal studies showing that positive parenting during early childhood is associated with better resilience, self-regulation, and fewer behavioral problems when kids reach school age.
Speaking of school age, let's talk about urban versus rural environments. I always assumed rural kids were more active and spent more time outdoors.
That's a common assumption, but recent research actually shows no significant differences in physical activity levels between rural and urban children.
Really? That's surprising.
Yes, but there is one interesting difference. Urban children spend about 30 minutes more per day on screen time compared to their rural counterparts.
Why do you think that is?
Research suggests it's because rural children tend to have greater knowledge of their neighborhood and social network, plus higher neighborhood personal safety and access to physical equipment at home.
That makes sense. Are there other differences between urban and rural environments?
Yes, actually. Rural environments tend to have less air pollution and more open spaces for exploration. However, they can also face challenges like geographic isolation and limited access to healthcare specialists.
Interesting. So each environment has its own pros and cons?
Exactly. And what's really fascinating is how different communities rely on different support systems. Rural families tend to look more to family, friends, and places of worship, while urban families rely more on professional services.
Let's talk about education. How does the school environment factor into all this?
Research shows that early childhood education is particularly crucial. It sets the foundation for cognitive development and future academic success through stimulating activities, language exposure, and opportunities for problem solving.
And what about peer relationships? How do they fit into the picture?
Peer relationships are actually one of the most significant factors. They help children develop cooperation, communication, and conflict resolution skills. Positive peer interactions build social competence.
But I imagine negative peer experiences can have the opposite effect?
Absolutely. Bullying or exclusion can seriously impact emotional well-being and self-confidence. That's why it's so important to monitor and support healthy peer relationships.
Let's talk about something that affects both peer relationships and family dynamics, technology use.
Research shows that balanced use of technology is key. While excessive screen time can be harmful, appropriate use can support learning and social connections.
What are some practical steps parents can take to create a better environment?
Studies suggest several effective strategies: setting fixed routines, creating quiet study spaces, removing TVs from bedrooms, and increasing exposure to outdoor activities and sports.
Those sound doable. Any other tips?
Yes, research emphasizes the importance of consistent emotional support and praise. Breaking tasks into smaller, manageable steps helps build confidence and competence.
What about families who might be dealing with challenging environments?
That's an important point. Studies show that even small improvements can make a difference. Even 20 minutes of focused parent-child interaction daily can significantly boost a child's confidence and performance.
Just 20 minutes? That's encouraging for busy parents.
Yes, and it's about quality over quantity. Research shows that consistent positive interactions have more impact than longer but inconsistent engagement.
Let's talk about timing. Does the age of the child matter when it comes to environmental influences?
Absolutely. Harvard research shows that timing is crucial. The same environmental factors can have different impacts depending on when children are exposed to them during development.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Early exposure to pollution might increase asthma risk through inflammation and altered immune development, while early positive interactions build stronger emotional regulation skills.
So there's really no neutral environment. It's either supporting or hindering development?
That's right. Every aspect of a child's environment is potentially influencing their development, from air quality to daily interactions with caregivers.
What about community support? How does that factor in?
Research shows that strong community support systems can actually buffer against other environmental challenges. This includes access to healthcare, nutrition programs, and safe recreational spaces.
That makes me think about economic factors. How do they influence the environment?
Studies indicate that socioeconomic status significantly affects environmental quality, from housing conditions to educational resources. However, positive parenting can help mitigate some of these challenges.
Are there any misconceptions about environmental influences that we should address?
Yes, one major misconception is that environmental influences are permanent. Research shows that positive changes to a child's environment can lead to improvements at any age.
That's really encouraging for parents who might be worried about past circumstances.
Absolutely. The brain remains remarkably adaptable throughout childhood. It's never too late to create a more supportive environment.
As we wrap up, what's the most important takeaway for our listeners?
The research consistently shows that small, positive changes in a child's environment can have significant long-term benefits. Focus on what you can control and improve.
And remember, it's not about being perfect, right?
Exactly. Studies show that consistency and emotional support matter more than having a perfect environment. It's about progress, not perfection.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode of Copilot Podcasts. Remember, your child's environment shapes their future, but you have the power to shape that environment.
And just like that TV noise we talked about earlier, sometimes the smallest changes can make the biggest difference.
Thanks for joining us today. Keep building those positive environments, one small change at a time.